This is crazy. To finally publish a hardcover, it's been a long time coming. It's my third book, my third textbook, but my first hardcover, and I'm like stupid excited about it. It's beautiful. It's got the greatest photography in it ever. It covers the most complex cannabis topics, most of which have never been published about before. Teaches people how to see and smell the psychopharmacy of any domesticated hybrid plant type, cannabis appellations, terroir, typicity, the seventh trichome that we discovered on cannabis, new plant types people don't know about. It's just fantastic. I want to read to you just the very first part, though. Welcome to Interpening. The solution to one of the world's largest and most complex quagmires, cannabis. Millions of people either consume cannabis or participate in the trade of it today, yet most still don't understand what exactly cannabis is. Where does cannabis come from? How did it make its way to every corner of the earth? How does it work? What does it do? How does it act so differently for so many people? There are more books and laboratories around the world dedicated to understanding cannabis than there are for most other plants in existence. Yet even with mandated lab testing in a flourishing legal billion-dollar industry, we still don't have quality control regulations, truth in labeling laws, or an ability to test for the psychotropic effects implied by misleading strain names. There are obviously many questions about cannabis, considering it impacts so many people today. The goal throughout this book is to provide you with research-backed solutions and answers to these questions through interpening methodology. What is interpening? Interpening, pronounced interpening, is the science of evaluating cannabis flower to determine quality, variety type designation, and psychotropic effects through physical and aromatic inspection. Interpening is based on a combination of science and theory, yet it is also an art and requires significant experience. An interpener can be thought of as a cannabis sommelier. In fact, interpening was inspired by the model of sommelier certification, including education, training, and practice to develop such a recognized expertise. Interpening is important at a time when millions of people are purchasing cannabis for medical or recreational purposes without quality certification or assurance of potential psychotropic effects. The psychotropic effects of cannabis vary from plant to plant and even within the same strain name, which is why strain names are so misleading. The methods of interpening are used to identify cannabis variety types and better understand the potential psychotropic effects of each flower. This is done by visually evaluating the physical characteristics of the flower and by interpreting the aromatics, or the terpenes, which are the evaporating molecular hydrocarbon chains found throughout the plant kingdom that produce the aromas of the plants. In legal states, many lab testing requirements for cannabis do not include mandatory terpene testing to provide insight to the possible psychotropic effects, and even those that do are only a guide, as the quality of the flower can change drastically between testing and consumption. While it is mandatory to test for various cannabinoids like THC, the percentage of THC in a flower does not actually determine potency, which is why interpening the flower terpene profile is so important. Through interpening, you will have the tools to evaluate cannabis for its potency and psychotropic effects, regardless of strain name, lab test, or presumed subspecies. Interpening also enables you to evaluate the total quality of the flower and determine whether it is unacceptable, acceptable, or high quality product, and ultimately safe to consume. Check out this book to see all the other cool topics covered in here. I hope you enjoy my new book, Interpening.